flooding, death and destruction of property in some areas. For how long will the rains continue? We have James Goma to help us discuss this. James, good evening. Most parts of the country have been receiving rains, leading to flash flooding, death, as well as destruction of property in some of these areas. Which areas have been affected the most, and what has been the extent of the damage?
Thank you very much for that question. Looking at the precipitation that we had during the past week, it was mainly over the southern parts of the country, covering areas such as Bulawayo Metropolitan, into Matabeleland South, the Masvingo province, as well as parts of Manicaland. This was because of moisture that was drifting in from Botswana into the interior of the country, and this led to considerable falls over this area for a prolonged period. Thus, the saturation of the soils had reached its maximums, and we had flash flooding in areas such as Cowdrey Park in Bulawayo, as well as Beitbridge area, parts of Mwenezi district, as well as parts of Masvingo as well. And because of this incessant rains, there were also flooding occurring in the rain belts as well as the wetlands. So a number of places recorded flash floods in this period. But as of this week, we had considerable rainfalls over the northeastern parts of the country. This is because of the intertropical convergence zone. And just as of yesterday, we had about 113 being recorded over parts of Manicaland province in Nyanga district, as well as parts of Toko district, which had 104 millimeters of rainfall. So considerable rainfall is still with us across much of the country. And these areas that are prone are mostly the wetlands as well as along the river plains.
So James, then what would be your advice to people during this period?
So in terms of the occurrence of these flash floods, it might be in areas where there is poor drainage. So the best, most suitable is to clear your drains when there is no rain, like in the early hours of the morning when you still have a period of reduced rainfall. Make sure that drains are suitable to carry the amounts of water that we are receiving. Where it's possible to open up more ways for water to flow, please do so. We know that there are some built areas where you've got dura walls that are now blocking the waterways that are there. So it might be advisable to open up those waterways so that water can easily flow through different channels. And added to that, there are some that are in wetlands. Unfortunately, there is nothing that you can do at this point in time when the rain is falling, but it's more advisable not to build in these wetlands. Also, if you're in the rural communities, it's also advisable not to build along river banks or closer to the streams and where flooding might occur.
Now, James, as we get into the week, what is the weather outlook for the next few days?
So in terms of this week, we are currently looking at the influence of the intertropical convergence zone over the northern parts of the country. So we should get a lot of rainfall over parts of Mashonaland province, Harare Metropolitan, northern parts of Manicaland, into Matabeleland North, as well as northern parts of the Midlands. So heavy downpours can be predicted even if the rainfall has not fallen in your particular area. Please watch out for flash flooding downstream. So we still advise the public not to cross any flooded river, as little as 30 centimeter depth of water can carry even large trucks and cause a lot of damage.
Well, that was James Goma, the chief forecaster for the Met Department. Now, the World Health Organization has appealed to us to rethink this decision to withdraw the